Greetings, true believers, it's Jake here, and in case you weren't aware, the world of Marvel games has a myriad of entries, with each one containing a variety of secrets and Easter eggs. Due to the size of many of these games, a lot of their secrets have gone unnoticed by many players, and today we're here to continue to resolve that problem. In this video, we're exploring the first game in the X-Men Legends series, which started out this great run of Marvel action RPGs that we've gotten. With that said, sit back and relax as we dive in to 5 Secrets of Marvel in X-Men Legends. Here we go. Starting off, we're looking at the NYC Riots level, which involves the X-Men going across the city to get injured mutants to safety while fighting their way through an army of Sentinels. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the game, you may not know that a certain X-Men makes a cameo in this level as a kid. Check this out.
On it.
Combo! Combo!
Ain't nothing gonna stop me now.
Hey, you're the X-Men. Cool. But I do. You guys are heroes. Piece from my dad's chess set. I carry it for good luck. Me? An X-Man? Wow, you really think so?
Now that little bit of dialogue with Bishop is actually a nice bit of foreshadowing to the game's sequel, X-Men Legends 2 Rise of Apocalypse, where Bishop is a fully fledged member of the X-Men and a playable character. This little bit of continuity may not seem all that significant to some of you, but as a fan of these characters and this series, this subtle tease and subsequent payoff were nice to see. Next up, we're heading to the X-Mansion. After Magneto is released from the Arbiter, Allison can talk to Beast and ask him about the X-Men's feelings towards Magneto. The conversation will play out like this.
Have you ever met Magneto?
I've had the misfortune to cross paths with Magneto several times. They were most unpleasant experiences. But there are many who find Magneto a very charismatic leader.
None of the X-Men like Magneto, do they?
Well, let's just say that some of us have seen the error of our ways.
Oh my gosh, one of the X-Men was a member of the Brotherhood? Who?
It's not my place to say, Allison. If that person wants you to know, then that person will have to tell you.
Now those of you who are comic readers likely know who is being referenced here, but for anyone still curious, a little bit later after the X-Men return from Muir Island, that little tease from earlier will pay off in this interaction.
Oh, I be thinking that maybe you still got a little feeling or two for Magneto. I can understand that, but... Oh, tell me, Cher, you still got a little room in your heart for old Gambit?
I'm long done with Magneto. And you know I still care about you, you sneak thief. But think about what you're asking me.
Oh, sorry. I'll leave.
Don't you worry none, little Allison. I done heard everything that I need to know. I'll be going now.
What's Gambit angry about?
He and I have an on-again, off-again relationship. And this time, I'm the one who called it off. He'll pout about it for a while, but he'll be back.
Gambit seemed kind of worried you might still have feelings for Magneto.
I admit, at one time, Magneto held a very special place in my heart. And I know I broke his heart the day I left the Brotherhood.
Do you regret leaving?
Heck no! The Brotherhood is nothing but a bunch of backstabbing lowlives who'd be more than happy to kill off Magneto and take over leadership. The only problem is, none of them are anywhere near Magneto's strength.
As you've just heard, Rogue is revealed to be the one to have been a member of the Brotherhood at one point, which is true to the comics and even some other animated adaptations of the X-Men, and it's nice to see that the developers decided to include this key aspect to Rogue's character. Third on the list, this one is pretty cool. The X-Men have a wide variety of unique moves and powers at their disposal. Giant fists of steel, optic beams, lightning bolts, you get the idea. Well, there's an iconic move from the comics that you can do that the game itself doesn't actually tell you about. If you have Wolverine on your team along with any Bruiser character, those being Rogue, Colossus, and Beast, and proceed to press the grab button while standing behind Wolverine as any of these characters, the Bruiser will automatically throw Wolverine at wherever he's currently facing, with a split second to adjust your aim. This combination is known in the comics as the Fastball Special. Although this is famously known as a move of Wolverine and Colossus, the other Bruisers can get in on the action too. Now I'll admit this isn't the most practical of moves and is generally performed on accident, but it's still pretty cool that the developers snuck this famous move into the game. For our fourth spot, the Juggernaut flashback is a brief, high-stakes introduction to Cain Marko in which he breaks into the X-Mansion intent on putting his half-brother, Charles Xavier, into an early grave. Luckily, the original X-Men are there to save the day, even sporting their original uniforms as well. However, something you may not have known is that this introduction to the Juggernaut actually shares many similarities to the debut episode of the character in X-Men Evolution. Juggernaut breaks into the mansion, tearing through various rooms, with a goal to end Xavier, who's hidden in the sub-basement. This may not appear that significant to a lot of you, but I think it's definitely possible that the developers used this cartoon as a reference when deciding how best to introduce the unstoppable Juggernaut. And for our last secret of the day, speaking of references, we're ending with a rather infamous one. During the X-Men's trip to the HARP facility, they eventually discover Mystique and Toad, who are up to no good as always. After venturing through the tunnels, it turns out that the Brotherhood has left Toad behind, and your next objective will be to defeat and capture him before he escapes. After the battle that ensues, when the X-Men interrogate Toad to determine why the Brotherhood came to this facility, he decides to play dumb and act as though he has no idea what the Brotherhood is up to. Having enough of Toad's stubbornness, the X-Men threaten him by saying, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it's thrown out of a jet at 20,000 feet? To which Toad will immediately fold and tell you everything he knows. What some of you might not have realized is that this is likely a clever reference to a rather corny scene from the first X-Men film, where Storm asks Toad, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?" only to reply immediately after with, "The same thing that happens to everything else," and give Toad the shock of his life before sending him flying. Luckily for Toad in this game, he seems to have a bit more sense than his cinematic counterpart. And with that, the episode comes to a close. 5 secrets of Marvel in X-Men Legends. Which of these secrets did you know about? And did this video bring back any memories of this classic game? If so, be sure to leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with your friends, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Peace out, Marvelites.